Well, those Daredevil Born Again Season 1 titles have been revealed, and wow, do they give us a great idea of how much inspiration from the first series this is taking from, as well as some big clues into what's going to happen during Season 2. Let's check out all the titles, break down what some of them mean, and how each of these titles tied to not only Matt Murdock, but Wilson Fisk, and maybe Frank Castle. Well, we're about a month away from the premiere of Daredevil Born Again, and although we've gotten a trailer, well, we don't really know a lot about the series. Now, we do know a lot of the original cast and crew are indeed returning, with Vincent D'Onofrio coming back as Wilson Fisk, Wilson Bethel returning as Bullseye, and even John Bernthal suiting back up as the Punisher. Now, beyond the minor details we got out of the recent trailer, we really don't know a lot. But earlier today, the team over at Nexus Point News dropped all 9 titles for Season 1, and I have to say they do give us some interesting details about the plot. Now, I'm going to drop a little warning here because I feel like some of this could be spoilerish, and if you want to go into this series completely blind, knowing nothing but what was in the trailer, I'm going to recommend you turn away now. Okay, you've been forewarned and you had your chance. Here are all the titles, although they are not in order. Heaven's Half Hour, With Interest, The Hollow of His Hand, Straight to Hell, Sic Semper Septima, Isle of Joy, Excessive Force, Art for Art's Sake, and Optics. Now, as you look through some of these titles, I have to say you definitely see some of them inspired by Matt Murdock's Catholic faith. And if you're a fan of the original show, it was a huge driving factor of the Daredevil series, so I'm really glad to see Disney has not shied away from that aspect of the character. To me, the ones that stand out are Heaven's Half Hour, The Hollow of His Hand, and Straight to Hell. Now, as far as some of the other characters go, well, some of the other titles are pretty interesting. Nothing screams Frank Castle more than Excessive Force. And in the trailer, we saw the Punisher swinging around a hatchet, and that might be when we actually finally get to see the character return in the MCU. Now, it's pretty clear to me that Art for Art's Sake is definitely going to be about the Muse. If you're familiar with the character from the comics, and I don't want to give away any spoilers, his style of, well, we'll call it art, is definitely something that's gruesome and was probably one of the driving factors keeping this show in that TV MA territory. To me, one of the most interesting titles, though, was Sic Semper Septima, and this actually plays on the Latin phrase of Sic Semper Tyrannis, which means thus always to tyrants. Now, this episode absolutely has to be built around Wilson Fisk, and we know with his rise to power in New York City, he is going to be the current New York City mayor, while he will most likely become the personification of corruption, and definitely suggests that Matt and the rest of the vigilantes of New York will have this corrupt justice system turned against them. Now, obviously, titles sometimes give us a bit of insight not only into the show, but the tone, and this definitely pretty much sounds like that Season 4 of the original Daredevil series all of us were wanting. Now, along with the titles, we started to get some inkling that some people have already seen the show, and even a report from several Hollywood insiders that at least one leaker has seen the whole first season of Born Again, and apparently it is absolutely great. Now, if you remember correctly, this was the show that Marvel finally made the turn, and during the writer's strike, basically got rid of everything associated with the show, restarted, and this is what took Marvel on that new path of focusing on quality over quantity, so it sounds like Daredevil is going to be the first of those fruits to be harvested. I never had a doubt Sean Levy could deliver on Deadpool and Wolverine, but that is pretty much a continuation of an existing franchise, and this is Marvel treading in the very sacred territory with the old Netflix series, so if it does turn out to be as good as we're hearing, well, it makes me feel like Marvel has finally gotten their ducks in a row. Daredevil Born Again drops on Netflix on March the 4th, so we have just over a month before we're finally going to get to see the series. I suspect Marvel will give us another trailer, probably in the next week or two, and then we should start getting clips sometime in mid-February, hyping us up for the release at the beginning of March. So, what do you guys think of all these titles for Daredevil Born Again? And does one of them perk your interest more than another? Tell me what you think in the comments below. Now, before you take off, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, ring that bell for all the updates, and make sure you get every notification because we do daily Marvel and DC content and we don't want you to miss any news.